Obviously, when it comes to smoking weed, zero amount of smoke in your lungs is the ideal amount. However, even more important than that is the THC is accumulative, and your brain depends on THC to attain dopamine. And the more you use it, the more it depends on that. So the longer you've been smoking or using edibles or any type of THC, and the more that you take, the more you're going to need to just feel normal dopamine. The normal dopamine, it's within us. It's called cannabinoids. So this is actually inside your brain. This is activated naturally by happiness in day-to-day life. However, what happens is when you use external sources like alcohol or THC or other drugs or other types of mental stimulation, then your brain depends on that to get that dopamine. So I compare it to, like, let's say every time you get a little bit of stomach acid, you eat Alka-Seltzer, okay? And you're eating all this crazy food, and your stomach acids are having trouble regulating, so you eat Alka-Seltzer every day. And then after months of eating Alka-Seltzer every day, let's say one day you eat some chicharrones or some crazy pork or something, and your stomach's just reacting and you don't have any Alka-Seltzer. Well, your natural stomach acids aren't going to be able to regulate that. It could kill you, right? Whereas if you never took Alka-Seltzer, your normal stomach acids would be able to deal with that. And so your body becomes accustomed to what you keep giving it over and over. So just like your stomach, your brain, if you're giving your brain THC every day to create dopamine, if you stop giving your brain THC, then there won't be any dopamine. So you're not going to be motivated to just be on a normal level. You'll be below. We all start here, okay? And then you use that THC and the dopamine comes up here. Well, what happens is when it wears off, then you need it to get up again. But the more time you use it, you need it just to get normal. So all of a sudden, you stop using THC and you're down here. And the longer you've used it and the more you've used it and you try to stop, then it just keeps going down. I smoked since I was 11 years old, okay? My whole life. I love marijuana. I love reggae music. I love the feeling that I get when I smoke. It's been my life, my entire life. However, 1 year ago, I decided to stop. And wow, it was really difficult. I made the decision to stop, and I just got down. And I did some research, and I found out about the chemistry behind marijuana and the fact that your brain becomes dependent on the THC for dopamine. And I never knew this before. And another thing is marijuana has its own conscience. So it'll justify why it's worth it to smoke marijuana. Oh, I worked hard, I need a little bit of relaxation, or the amount of stress relief it's giving me is compensating for any damage it might be doing to my body or my mind, and all this other justifications, and they're all complete bullshit. That's the marijuana consciousness. It's not your own consciousness. Because going back to when I tried to stop, in the beginning, it was so difficult that it got to a point to where I just wasn't motivated at all. And it was really surprising to me because I'm such a motivated person, and I've always used THC, and And I always thought in my mind that I didn't have any kind of a problem with it. And the fact was, I didn't, because I kept using it. But when I decided to stop, that's when I saw the real story. And it got to a point to where it was about 3 weeks of not having any THC in my body, and I was so down that I said to myself, if I feel like this tomorrow, I'm just gonna get back on it, because I can't live like this. And so the next day, I felt the same, and boom, that was it. I got back on the THC. Oh my God, I just felt like my life bloomed like a flower. I was so happy. I felt that dopamine back in my mind. I was motivated to work. I was motivated to surf. I was motivated to do everything that I do on a day-to-day basis. All my yoga, Flowtra, exercise was just better than ever. And I just kind of came around to the realization that, hey, I'm a THC guy. I've done this my whole life. I'm just gonna do this my whole life because it was too difficult to not have it. And so I went on a few months like that, and everything was wonderful in reality. And then I got the flu, nothing to do with THC, just, got a normal flu. And of course, didn't use THC or, just had fruits and vegetables and hot tea, for a few days until I got better. And then I felt better, and I was thinking to myself, okay, well, I'm better now, I can get back on the THC. And then I thought about it, and I said, well, hey, I have a few days now, no THC. Maybe it's time again to try to stop. And I don't know what got into me that night. Something happened subconsciously when I was sleeping. Because I woke up in the morning with a vengeance, like on a mission. I woke up, splashed some water on my face, looked in the bathroom mirror and said, oh, really, guy? You couldn't quit? You let this substance take control of you and gave up and threw in the towel and literally couldn't quit? I was like, nah, you're not going out like that. No way. I'm quitting this shit. I don't care if it freaking kills me. I'm not gonna lose this battle. Because I knew it was a war. And I'm not gonna lose the battle, I'm not gonna lose the war. And I made a decision that day, no more THC. And it was tough, man. It was really tough. I went through a couple weeks just down in the dumps, like some days better than others. 3 weeks in, a month in, I was like, wow, but I made the decision, I have my priorities straight, that I'm going to win this battle, I'm going to win this war and see what's on the other side. Because I know my natural dopamine will return eventually. It's just that since I've been using THC for so long, that it's gonna take longer, probably than most people. And I don't remember when, it was about a month and a week in, I started into my yoga practice, and then I got this blast of what felt like THC in my mind, this blast of dopamine, and I was like, whew, wow, is this sativa or indica? This is amazing. And then it hit me. No, it was natural dopamine. It was my first hit of natural dopamine, possibly since I was 11 years old. And it was just wow, it felt like a huge bong hit or something. It was crazy. I was like, whoa, the dopamine is back. And it started becoming more and more, and day to day, every day, there was more and more natural dopamine. And right now, I've got dopamine flying throughout my entire body from my head to my toes, all day, every day. Why? Because all those receptors are open now. The natural dopamine is just flowing. I'm never going to use THC again. Why? Because when you use it, the natural dopamine receptors open with the THC and then close when you stop using the THC. And then they open again when you have THC. So the longer you do that, and the more you do that, the more those receptors depend on THC to open and close, okay? So we all have these friends, they never used THC in their entire life. And they've got this natural stoke about them, and you're like, wow, how do they do it? Well, it's because their natural dopamine receptors open up when they see a beautiful flower, or they hear a child's voice, or they feel the wind blow on their face. All those things that naturally make us just full of joy, that's natural dopamine. If your natural dopamine receptors are open, you're going to feel that dopamine just flying throughout your body. If they're closed and you need THC to open them up, you're always going to need that. So my message to you is you don't need THC in your life. Dopamine is natural. Let it flow and enjoy life to its fullest. You can do it.